Is it easy to be a professional traveler? Why do people voluntarily choose extreme over comfort? Those who have traveled thousands of kilometers will share their experiences in the next episode of Colors of Asia.
Hello
friends, you're watching Colors of Asia. I would like to remind you that episodes of Colors of Asia are available on the official website of Qazaq TV channel and on its YouTube channel. Today we want to introduce you to people who deserve great respect and delight. It's about travelers. And not those who travel like tourists. We'll introduce you to the stories of 3 people from 3 countries. During their trips, each of them has to face various situations, including extreme ones. Nevertheless, it doesn't stop them from traveling, where they discover lots of interesting and wonderful things that no travel agency in the world can offer.
The
first story is about a man who for a long time has been a member of the Kazakhstan show business, has been friends with celebrities, and together with the band members, won the hearts of thousands of fans. Suddenly, he abruptly and radically changed his activity, which surprised many. Well, today he says that he found himself in a new field, and he thanks God every day for such an opportunity. In November 2016, he took a bike trip for the first time in his life, and in this 5 years has already visited 47 countries of the world. Today, Talgat Jumabekov is one of the few citizens of Kazakhstan for whom traveling the long road on this type of transport turned into the meaning of his life. Throughout my travels for more than 5 years, my thoughts have become clear, and I understand my life better. I will not say that I understand the world order, but I will definitely say that my life has been filled with great meaning. And I realize that people need what I'm doing. It's hard for me to explain the whole philosophy of what I see. How did I get on this path? Of course, it was a test, demands that we put on ourselves, that I fought. And so, if you're as sincere as possible with people in your beliefs and intentions, the same way people will perceive it. I think this is important for a person who does something, wants to convey something. Well, I want to convey, first of all, the Word of God. Talgat is a Muslim. He came to God after he had slipped up seriously, and this made him think about many things and to look at the world differently, which has now become clear, more interesting, diverse, and deep. The world today acquired more spiritual beauty and kindness. Humanity is confined to some kind of circle. It's stuck in venality and accumulation of unnecessary assets, a lot of fuss about nothing. But when a person is freed from this, he truly is free. It's very important for me to be free. You show your will and believe in things you don't know or did not see. And this will and power becomes strong like a stone, and you go forward boldly and easily. You're not afraid of anything. Perhaps it may seem to someone that cycling is romantic. Yes, there is quite enough of it, although it's also an extreme and difficult activity. These difficulties are constantly on the road. If you ride a bicycle, respectively, you overcome ups and downs, off-roads and cold weather. That's literally what I faced in Colombia. It was something. There were many off-road mountains. Stones were everywhere. And as a normal human being, I reacted accordingly. Sometimes I got mad or anxious, just like an ordinary person. Of course, there are moments when you stop yourself because you understand that there is no point in screaming or being nervous. You just accept everything as it is and go on. And when you do this, the road itself becomes even and smooth. Talgat has a regular bicycle, which, however, is equipped with several video cameras. Therefore, during tours, he often gets in touch with his audience online. In his reports, the traveler prefers to share not so much natural landscapes and beauty of cities he visits, but specific events and interactions with people, who, according to him, are very friendly.
На самом деле, доброта, искренность.
In fact, kind and sincere. I think about it all the time. I thought about it today too, that these are such nice people. I just needed to put up a tent, and they opened their gates and said, "You can put it up wherever you want. Spend the night here. Here's the shower, everything you need." They are ordinary people. They have nothing, but they feel the joy of sharing what they have. And this is an incredible feeling of satisfaction and understanding. You don't need language, you don't need anything. They just need your sincerity. You treat people the same way you want to be treated. People look differently, but they feel the same emotions: kindness, sincerity, purity of intent. As for bicycle travelers, as Talgat says, this is a separate world. These are special people. They have their own websites, where they are glad to meet every new participant from any country in the world, who is the same fan of this type of travel as them.
Они по миру общаются, друг другу помогают. Ты не можешь и туда обратиться, и туда обратиться.
They help each other, you can ask for advice in different places, everyone will support you because this is their world, this is the meaning of their lives, this is what they think about. They're not interested in being on some stupid parties. They are interested in cycling, climbing the mountain, breathing mountain air, sweating. They enjoy all of it. As an example, our hero recalled a conversation with one of his friends from Canada. Talgat arrived in this country from Alaska. He was going to drive across Canada, then go to the south of the continent. By the way, before meeting his friend, he set a kind of record for himself, having overcome the longest distance on a bicycle during the day. It was about 150 kilometers. Well, there were no steep climbings and descents. Practically, there was a straight road. It was easy, of course. Well, when you set a goal, you go straight for it. When I start something, nothing won't stop me. I can go to the end. I wouldn't say I'm tired. I was in Canada. We have met and talked with this man. He's a cyclist. He has a lot of bikes. He's also a bike master. Well, my brakes broke, so he installed brand new brakes. He did everything. He oiled the plug. He knows all these things. And I just got up and, of course, for me, this was something new. I just joined their community on the website. And then I have been reassured every day that these people do this not because they want something from you, but because they just want to help you. He said, "Your feet are freezing. Take the winter shoes." And he just gave it to me. They're not new, but he gave them from the heart. And I was just happy. My feet were warm. I was so happy at this moment when I wore those shoes. There are a lot of little moments that make your way smooth and to you happy. It may seem strange to someone, but for our hero, it's extremely important to overcome the trials on the way.
В этом смысл преодолевания вот этих именно трудностей, испытаний.
That's the entire point. It is to overcome all the difficulties and challenges.
Зима,
When I drove around Canada from Alaska, it was cold, it was a winter time. You just get used to it. You always try to be in the same state so as not to relax. Your body is always tense. Well, not so much tense, but it's ready for temperature drops, wind and rain. Also, bike travelers always need to be prepared for various political disasters.
Причем не только коронавирус, а вот в Америке были события. Я это все видел своими глазами.
Not only a coronavirus pandemic, there were events in the US.
Очень сильно меняется. Да, конечно же, я столкнулся вплотную это в Лос-Анджелесе.
I witnessed it all with my own eyes. At that time, I realized that the world is changing a lot. I realized that it won't be the same anymore. I faced a pandemic in Los Angeles. Here is Hollywood 50 meters away. It's a walk of fame. I live there nearby. There's no one around. Can you imagine an empty Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles? For me, this was not only a shock, but also a great surprise. But I have not yet fully understood what was going on. But when all this event started, I realized that there is something to it.
Это все не зря.
Over the past 2 years, Talgat Jumabekov has been on a trip through North America. Having become ill with coronavirus this summer, he had to return home for a while. Of course, this disrupted his plans, and his tour around South America, which he began in Colombia, was postponed until the fall. Thank God the disease is over, and now the planned journey continues. The mainland itself is huge. Countries are scattered throughout the mainland, and I have to go in a zigzag. But this is interesting for me. This is important to overcome everything. And as it turns out, there is already the will of God. What will be after South America?
Ну, еще много всего. Да. Африка, Юго-Восточная Азия.
A lot of things. Africa, Southeast Asia. The Earth is huge. Antarctica, Hawaii, Greenland, Iceland. Many places. There is always a desire to see all of this. I think it will work out. There will be no problem with this. The main thing is to have is health.
Я думаю, не будет с этим проблем. Главное здоровье.
The next story is about a group of people who are called Goodwill ambassadors in Tajikistan. All of them are members of the motorcycle club. They travel around the world and are proud of what they do. Initially, there were 11 of them. Now it's 30. Thanks to them, including far beyond their homeland, people learn about Tajikistan, its people, culture, and traditions. And it's priceless. They're united by road, speed, and freedom, and the spirit of brotherhood. They get together in this bike house. Forrest Nurmuhamedov often brings his 3-year-old son here, and there is every reason to believe that in the future this baby boy will follow in the footsteps of his father. By the way, biking came into Forrest's life 6 years ago when he first entered the House of Bikers and received an unexpected offer.
Farhod
Kalonov told me, Forrest, would you like to ride with us? And I said, where? And he said, to the Crimea and back. For me, it seemed funny, ridiculous, and fantastic. But in just 10 days, everything in my life has completely turned upside down. I packed my things, got on a motorcycle, and went with Farhod and our friend Jamshed. Upon returning home, it was unanimously decided to open a motorcycle club. In a short time, they decided on the participants, the meeting point, adopted the charter, approved the name of the motorcycle club, Irbis. And it's no coincidence because this is a snow leopard that easily moves along narrow paths and it's fast like a real biker.
Причем нам нужно было подобрать такое название клуба, которое сразу громко заявляет о Таджикистане.
We wanted to choose a name that would loudly present Tajikistan, us, our unique nature, flora and fauna.
Флоре и фауне.
We came up with our logo. As you saw, it is an irbis against the background of the peak of Ismoil Samon,
Ирбис на фоне
the highest point of Tajikistan and the former Soviet Union.
Таджикистана и не только, но и бывшего Совета.
This is how the colors of our club were formed.
Образовались наши так называемые цвета нашего клуба.
After the first large motorcycle race called We Are Tajiks was held, bikers were called people's diplomats. who opened their homeland to many people abroad. And then there were other trips.
И в 2016 году мы решили проехать 12 стран Европы, начиная от Франкфурта.
In 2016, we decided to drive through 12 European countries, starting from Frankfurt and beyond. Czech Republic, Slovakia, Austria, Bulgaria, Slovenia, Italy, Monaco, France, Spain, then France, Belgium, the Netherlands, and again Germany. This is the trip we had in 2016. Also in 2016, the project where Tajiks 3 started. It was a single trip of Farhod Kalonov to Vladivostok and back. More precisely was called We Are Tajiks 3, the Road of Goodness. For each kilometer that Farhod traveled, sponsors allocated a certain amount of money, thanks to which 2 children underwent heart surgery.
Выделяли определенные суммы денег, благодаря которым 2 детям сделали операцию на сердце.
But during the We Are Tajiks 4 motorcycle race, the route passed along the main highway of the United States, Route 66. 10,000 kilometers from Los Angeles to Miami, 20 states in only 1 month. In each motorcycle race, participants bring with them tents, spare parts, fuel, food for the first few days, and of course the flags of Tajikistan. Before the race, they have careful preparation because everything should be okay. During the trip, bikers cross the steppes, deserts, and cities, and when they make a stop, they are sure to get acquainted with different sights. At first, the motorcycle club consisted of 11 people. Today, there are more than 30 of them. These are people of different ages and professions, and they're not only travel, but also actively engaged in charity. The club for me is my second home. I'm happy to spend here every free minute. We're never bored. Various interesting trips outside the city, participation in public and charitable events. I really like it.
Вот, у нас есть один детский дом, куда мы ездили, это для детей.
We have an orphanage where we went to meet children with disabilities. Our uncle Kosim, who has a sidecar on his motorcycle, rides children on it.
Ну, что-то такое доброе. После скоропостижной кончины нашего...
After the sudden death of one of our members, Ruslan Ramazanov, who died of lung cancer, there was an urge, and we visited the Children's Center for Cancer Patients.
Навестили детский центр онкобольных. Вот. Был случай, когда вы помните девочку.
There was a case in Khujand when the girl was knocked by a train. We also could not stay away.
Вот, туда зашли. Ну, так, в принципе.
If they say we need to help someone, we say let's raise money.
Встречается, если нам говорят, надо помочь, мы сразу же с ребятами как-то говорим, давайте скинемся. Вот, кто сколько сможет.
Uncle Kosim, whom Forrest mentioned, is already a pensioner. For almost half a century, he has been driving an iron horse, and he is loyal to a certain brand.
Клуб мне подарил очень многое, потому что благодаря клубу я смог съездить.
The club gave me a lot because thanks to the club I was able to go along the itinerary nomad path to Lake Issyk-Kul and back. This is almost 4,000 kilometers. Everyone is driving foreign cars and I went there on a Ural motorcycle. Everyone doubted my bike, but it coped perfectly with all its duties. It didn't disappoint me.
Вот, все сомневались в моей технике, но она прекрасно справилась со всеми своими обязанностями. Вот, ни раз не подвела.
In 2018, the first Central Asian Motorcycle Festival, Sagdiana, was held in the city of Gulistan. In 2019, there was the second one. And more than 400 motorcyclists from different countries of the world participated in it. This event is the final of the annual international motor race Nomad Way through Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan. By the way, many bikers came to the event with their significant others.
У всех байкеров, если вы заметили, есть нашивки впереди и сзади.
Bikers have patches in front and back. The charter of our club says that wives can make patches. It says that my husband is Davlat.
Написано, что мой муж – это Давлат.
The bikers of Tajikistan have another tradition. Every year, the opening and closing of the motor season is accompanied by a run through Dushanbe with unfolded flags. Well, the meeting point is always a memorial complex of memory and glory in Victory Park. Today, the biker club is supported by the Dushanbe City Hall, the 201st Russian base, and the Russian embassy in Tajikistan.
Байкерское движение активно участвует в нашей работе по
The biker movement is actively participating in our work on the restoration and arrangement of the graves of participants in the World War II memorials that are associated with the Great Victory.
которые связаны с этой великой победой.
Infinity has no limit, the motto of the fifth project, We Are Tajiks, and this is a round-the-world trip of the head of the club, Farhod Kalonov, who wants to tell people around the world about the rich culture of Tajikistan, its ancient history and beautiful nature. It's important to know that the Center for the Support of Parents and Children with Down Syndrome in Dushanbe chose a Tajik traveler as a Goodwill ambassador. Of course, Farhod and his team prepared thoroughly for such an ambitious run. Everything was thought out to the point, and they even had to change the bike to an SUV because it's much easier with it, and it's safer to spend the night in the car. The very first thing one must have is the fuel supply so that you can travel far without worrying about fuel. A 180-liter diesel tank is installed here. That is, one full tank refueling is for the distance of 1,700 kilometers. This allows you not to think about fuel for 2 weeks. There is a supply of water. As I will visit Africa, I may not worry about water for 2-3 days. I can wash myself and wash the dishes. You can watch what is happening to me online. I've never done this before. Now there is a car, an opportunity to do this. Members of the Irbis Club are already making plans for the future and for new motorcycle races. They prove to everyone that people on motorcycles are not just lovers of iron horses. This is a whole movement that has a great future. And here is another story, this time about a resident of Baku who admits that he can imagine his life without travel. And if our previous heroes use certain vehicles during their tours, then this young man prefers exclusively to walk and is sure that this way he sees and notices much more. He popularizes hiking in Azerbaijan and hopes that his trips will become international soon. In the modern world, travel is first of all an opportunity to get positive emotions, vivid impressions, and a new look at the environment. This is also a chance to share your joy with others on social networks. Vahid Gasanov from Baku once was so carried away with travel that he had to abandon his studies at a university. To date, he has traveled almost all over Azerbaijan, and now he's planning to discover other countries. I am fond of traveling probably because since childhood, I have loved painting. I've been drawing since I was 6 years old. I have already held several exhibitions, although I still consider myself an amateur, but not a professional artist. I'm a landscape painter, and while studying at university, I began to develop my skills in this genre. At the university, I studied as an architect, but from the first days, I knew that this was not my true calling. Then I bought a camera to take pictures of my works and share it with others on social networks. At the same time, Vahid always wanted to contemplate different landscapes and put all this beauty to canvas. That's how an idea of traveling came up. I made my first trip by bicycle and traveled a distance of 600 kilometers in a week, but you can't go everywhere on a vehicle. It's especially difficult to climb the mountains. So I bought the necessary equipment for hiking. This allowed me to see places tourists rarely visit. Hiking began with a trip to the mountain lake Garanohur. Until a certain time, there were practically no tourist routes there, so few shared pictures of this place on their social networks. The road was difficult because I had to climb up all the time. During this tour, I took several pictures, which then went viral on the internet. Thanks to this trip, information about this wonderful place immediately spread.
Ve ilk şekillerim de ki oradan çekilen şekillerde daha çok yayıldı.
After that, the young man began to understand that the new hobby was gradually turning into something more. In addition, he realized that he's good at introducing people to the hidden jewels of Azerbaijan. So he became an active traveler. And this has been going on for 5 years now.
Tək səyahətlərimdə də avtostop, palatka, kimsə qonaq elədi.
I hitchhiked, walked to long distances. Sometimes people let me stay overnight, but more often I spend the night in a tent. Thanks to communication with the locals, I learned about new interesting places because my main goal was to see the beauty of nature and show it to others.
Onda da artıq 20 minə çatmışdı. Hal-hazırda Qarabağda ərazisi var. Naxçıvana elə gəlib çıxa bilməmişdim.
Of course, I did not see the whole country. There are so many places to see. But mostly I prefer places where there are few tourists. Believe it or not, but in Azerbaijan there are a lot of mesmerizing regions that actually are not so popular. I am more fascinated with them. I enjoy sharing my photo reports, things I have seen with my own eyes, with others, and I like that they enjoy it too. For example, few people know that there are canyons in the Shamkir district. Old gold mines remained in Gedebek. I'm not even mentioning other historical monuments. According to Vahid, hiking has more advantages compared to, for example, a comfortable car trip. You don't have to choose a special route for driving. You don't have to buy gas from time to time. You don't have to worry that your car can break down in the middle of nowhere. At the same time, when traveling by car, you miss a lot of interesting things.
Tək özünlə gedirsən, özünlə baş-başa qalırsan.
As for traveling alone or in a group, each option has its own pros and cons. When you're alone, you have to rely only on yourself. Everything needs to be calculated: cargo, clothes, food, various accessories, and etc. In the group, you are not alone. Someone will surely help. At the same time, not everyone in the group has the same physical abilities. It's difficult for someone to climb the mountain. Respectively, you can waste time. We asked Vahid what time of year and where it's better to travel in Azerbaijan, and he advised that in winter is to go to the mountains, in the fall to forests, in the spring again to the mountains to pick up flowers, and summer is the season when all directions are available. But don't forget about precautions.
Meşənin içindən gedirəm, arxamdan da bir dənə mənə səyahətə çıxan yoldaş gəlir.
Once I went down from a height of 3,000 meters. I had to get to the lake. I thought it was hard to climb, but it was much harder to go down. For 2 days, I climbed the mountain, and I thought that it would take me a day to go down, but this was far from true. I barely could walk, and at an altitude of 1,800 meters, where the forest belt begins, I was already on the autopilot. Suddenly, I heard that something was moving in front, in the bushes. I was so tired that I didn't pay attention to it. After taking a few steps, I suddenly saw a bear, which rose to its feet and began to roar. Can you imagine? And I kept going straight at him. When we were literally 5 meters away from each other, the predator apparently realized that I would not run anywhere, turned around and disappeared in the forest. Animals feel someone's fear. If I showed it, the bear could attack me. Therefore, in the wild, don't make any sudden movements or demonstrate aggression.
Cəld hərəkət eləsəydim, o artıq başqa cür özünü apara bilir. Tək çıxanda səyahətə ilk öncə əlbəttə ki, sumkanız, yəni nadежный olmalıdır.
If you're going on the trip alone, the first thing you must do is to take a durable bag. If a strap of fabric tore out, it will be the end of everything. There are bags designed specifically for travelers. They're well thought out. You can distribute the load evenly, and then the weight does not lie only on the shoulders. The tent must be waterproof. If there is a heavy rain, then in an unreliable tent, everything can get wet. The food will spoil, the equipment will break down. And the most unpleasant thing is you can catch a cold. You must also have on you hunting matches and a knife. If you decide to spend the night in nature, then you need to light a fire. It will scare off the wild animals. In order not to attract their attention, do not take meat products with you. It's better to eat dry food that does not spoil. And don't keep it in the tent. If, for example, local residents offer you to spend the night in the mountains, accept their invitation. Usually such people are sincere. I plan to start my trip around the world from Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, as well as neighboring countries. I want to see and show everyone the nature of these countries. Of course, when I first began to travel, I didn't plan to shoot everything with my camera. But when I saw nature, I thought that I must share it with others. This is probably from the fact that I'm an artist.
Ну, вот и все.
That's all for today. You have watched Colors of Asia. See you soon. Goodbye.
До свидания.